Hi, everyone. This is Amy Major with Spirit Rescue Talk again. I have an amazing guest, and yes, I do have her here on with us today. It is absolutely amazing. I have KO here with me today, and she is the queen of the paranormal. Oh my gosh. With the two of us doing both paranormal work, this is going to be an amazing show. So I just want her to introduce herself, tell us a little bit of information about her. I'm so excited. So KO, hi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing great that
Good,
you're
I'm
here.
glad you asked me on the show. I have lots to talk about, brand new projects and things. But I want to clarify something first. The Queen of the Paranormal, which is my legal title, is a registered trademark. A lot of people call themselves the rock and roll this, the grandmother that, the this, the that. And so I decided, well, I think that sounds cool. I'm the Queen of the Paranormal, and I trademarked it for lectures, comic books, and a merchandise sale, and it went through. And boy, everyone got so upset that I did that, and I'm thinking it's the best move possible. Trademark the name you have, and I don't know if they did or didn't, but I did, and so that's why I do Queen of the Paranormal. I write books, lectures, Comic Cons, things like that. And I like to be called KO because my name is a little bit strange. I'm Polish, Russian, Lithuanian, and a couple of other things thrown in. But the name is Karosha Ona, and Ona is short for Anastasia, and then of course the Carol, and the Polish is Karosha. Anastasia is Lithuanian. So I have the both there from my family's background. So we just shortened the Anastasia to Ona.
Well, that makes sense. KO is very easy. And I think about the comic books that you're in. I'm like, KO, yes.
Yeah, that's right. And it's funny because I used to be in law enforcement. So the KO, and when people remember me from law enforcement a whole life ago, they says KO really fits because of my knockout. I guess in my youth, I must have been tough. I guess that's where it goes, And so the KO stuck, and that's how I guess prefer to be called, because it's better than having your name butchered every 5 minutes.
Yeah. So you said you were in the law enforcement as well. What did you do in the law enforcement?
I graduated Northeast Regional Police Institute. That's in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. I was top of my class and first in my class in firearms training. I trained in the battery and I trained other officers, and I did that for years. I truly enjoyed it, but I realized physically for me that the men I were working with were much larger, bigger, stronger, and I got kind of like tousled a little bit, and I just figured after a while it just was not for me. And I was on Gang 1, Unit 1, the Gang Task Force as well. I think it's a job for when they look at me, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, she's definitely going to take me down. I could do that because I was trained to do that and worked very hard to be able to do it, but it doesn't mean I did not get hurt. So I figured that was not a good thing for me to continue with. And I became a wife, a mom, and just continued doing media work. I've done movies and media work all my life. So I just continued along that vein. But I'm still called by law enforcement if there is a case to be solved, or just for maybe a different perspective on a case, not so much paranormal. And so I still dabble in it like that way.
So you went from the law enforcement into the paranormal. How did you make that transition?
Well, I've always been in the paranormal. I'm going to say some people have an accident and then all of a sudden they're in it, or something happens and they're in it. I was always in it. I go back a good maybe 7 generations or so of women that had the ability. My mom did not, but my babcha, and then my babcha Rogala, my stara babka, is old grandmother, and her mother were spirit communicators, and they would interpret dreams and all of this, and we'd always call, oh, Bachi, we had this dream, and she goes, when I die, you have to put a telephone in the coffin. She used to tell me, because that's what we do, we'd ask her, and with asking her, we learn knowledge, and I had that gift since I was young, whether it was spirit communicating or deciphering dreams for somebody, or maybe knowing what's going to happen next sometimes, and that's really freaky. So I have been involved in the paranormal for a long, long time.
Wow. Can you tell us about any of your first cases?
Particular cases in the paranormal?
Yes.
I remember looking for a gentleman who had Alzheimer's, and I went out on horseback. A bunch of us did, and it's not that I let the horse lead me. I just had a feeling that we're going the wrong way. We are going the wrong way. And I just went off through the woods, and there was not really a swampy area, but an area of, I'm going to have to say, a spiritual concern. There was a Native American graveyard there and a lot of businesses, but they kept that separate and fenced in. He was like over on the other side of it. So follow your gut instinct. Sometimes, whether that's paranormal or not, it really does keep you safe and out of situations, and you can use it to be helpful for others as well. We do have a television show coming up that in regards to that. I can't say much more. That's why I'm not going to talk about that much, because I might slip in, the NDA that is.
I won't ask.
So sue me for money I don't have. Okay.
I know all about that. I've worked with producers before, and it's like, nope, not going to happen.
Yeah,
but I did see you have The Ghost of New Hampshire Seacoast. You wrote a book about that. I
did, for up by Salisbury, Massachusetts to Seabrook, Massachusetts. Salisbury's in Massachusetts. Seabrook is in New Hampshire, sorry. And then up through that area is very historically known to have spirits. And if you go there, and you can drive slow with the windows open, and if it's at night, it'd have to be like 2 o'clock in the morning when everyone's in bed. But it's the weirdest sensation, and it's almost as if you can hear the cries or the screams from when the floods came in and flooded the fields or burnt the houses down. And because to keep warm, they would stick the hay under the houses to keep warm. And sometimes with spontaneous combustion, the house would go up in flames and people would die. And so I researched all of this, and we did investigations there outside, and it was fascinating, like what we found. You could hear things, feel things, mainly the animals, because it wasn't like they could get them out of these like little channels and canals where they were doing the salt marsh hay, and they put it on the wagons. When the storms came in and they didn't get out enough, the horses would perish as well. So it was quite riveting. I really enjoyed doing that, and that's why I wrote the book on that. But the other book, it's Ghosts and Legends of the Merrimack Valley. I was approached by History Press, and they asked me to write a book, Ghosts and Legends of the Merrimack Valley. And I informed them that the Merrimack Valley encompasses 2 states and all these communities, and they liked you to concentrate on one community. But it was so fascinating what I wrote to them that they included both states, all the things that were in it. And this was their first book for the Haunted America series. So all the other books in Haunted America series came after mine. And my book was picked up to be read in school, because a lot of the information was historically accurate. And then we'd go into the paranormal undertones of the whole thing. So that book is truly fascinating to read. In fact, I even read it not over and over again, but sometimes I'll say, geez, what was the history on that? I can't kind of forget. And then I'd go back and read. Like, for instance, when the glaciers came down and they started to melt off, the Merrimack River, that's where we were, River Valley, the Merrimack River from the White Mountains was a straight shot down to Boston Harbor. But when the glaciers receded, they made a big bank, and in Lowell, Massachusetts, the Merrimack River was like bought and took a very sharp left hook there. And these are things that people like, how come the river just stopped and goes to the left? Well, that was because of the glaciers receding and, you know, backing up, I mean, hundreds of tons of dirt to be able to take that mighty Merrimack River and make it go to the left. But people didn't know that, so it was great to put that history in there.
That's amazing. I didn't know that either, and I live near there.
It's really cool. You know, that's why the schools, and it's in the library there, thought it was fascinating. Like, that is real history. And that's what I was known for, still am known for, is to digging up that history and throwing it in with the paranormal undertones.
With
So
these
it's
books,
scary,
are
but
you
yeah.
are you finding there's a lot of historical paranormal presence, or is it more current paranormal presence? Do you notice that there's a certain timeline?
Yes, during every single timeline of what I wrote about, it started at the beginning where the glaciers were. Then it went up the timeline where the settlers were. And then it went up to manufacturing on the river. And then it went up to modern day on the river. So each time in each place I went to had a different sensation because it was a different century and time frame. Languages were different, even though they might be English. They were of a different verbiage. And it was fascinating to explore all of that leading from the past up to modern day, and then trying to compile it into a book.
Wow. I can only imagine there'd be more paranormal activity regarding timelines that had more trauma or more crisis happening at certain times.
Yes, I covered the Pembroke Mills and the Pembroke Mill fire, and I went to the graves where they were buried, and that was very traumatic. My son George kept holding his chest, saying, I feel like I can't breathe, and I says, let's clear, the stones had, like, nobody mows over there, so the grass was like a foot or two high. So we went back home, got a weed whacker, electric one, and we whacked all the weeds down. All of a sudden he can breathe better. And I'm wondering if that was a signal saying, I'm suffocating, I can't breathe, I'm suffocating. Like, look at, I died in a fire, and look how they treat me now. It's such disrespectful. So we did that. My son felt a lot better. I didn't put that in the book. I thought that might have been a little bit overboard, but that is a true story.
You people need to understand that there are things that can happen to them where they're in paranormal hotspots.
Absolutely.
And, New England has many of them.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to write anything about Salem, Mass? Because there's a lot of history there.
In Ghosts and Legends of the Merrimack Valley, there is a wonderful chapter on not just Salem, but North Andover. Salem grabbed the title, oh, we got witches, we got this, we got that. But where it really all began was North Andover, Massachusetts. And I'm going to put it up to you to buy the book and check it out. And people don't realize that. They're like, oh, Salem is where it all began. No. Salem was actually called Danvers, and a lot of the people from the witch trial and all this stuff were in North Andover, a whole different community. So
wow.
I have that all in the book because we went way back, and we went into Salem. We even went into North Andover, and I lived in Andover at that time, so it was like really close by, and we were able to just get a lot of like almost like, yeah, we were the ones here in North Andover. It wasn't them. They just seemed to, you know, capitalize on it as being, the witch city or, whatever.
Yeah.
But indeed, it was North Andover, Massachusetts.
Well, if you go to Massachusetts, you're going to find paranormal activity everywhere, not just in Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Of course, people talk about, the, I don't know, it's like a pyramid area or the certain areas of southern Massachusetts as well. And there's a lot of
like the Bridgewater Triangle.
The Bridgewater Triangle, right. And I've been through there and you don't want to stop for very long. It seems very heavy. In
Got
that
a very creepy feeling. There is a place, I was with my grandson, actually all weekend, we had a blast, but one of the things is I wanted to follow a trail that a moose I saw going down my street about 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 or 2 weeks ago? It was a big giant moose going down my street, and he was just down walking along, or she, and I followed it. I was way on the side because they can be dangerous, and calling, the police department, letting them know that, hey, there's a moose over here. And it went up into the woods. Now, when I say up into the woods, I mean that it went up, like it was like, whoo, straight up, like a side of a mountain almost. And so what I wanted to do was to follow the path of the moose to see if I could follow it. And indeed we did. We went way up there and we were looking around. I couldn't see any on the climb up because a lot of kids like to slide down there. So, and it is dangerous. It's really high. And so we went up, we didn't see anything on that path, but something was calling like, hey, let's go this way. And then my grandson looked down, he said, he calls me Gran. Gran, look at this. It was a big, like moose print, and I'm like, oh my God, we did find him. And it's funny because I think he was giving off like some kind of energy of not panic, but where the hell am I kind of thing. And we could feel that because he felt it. And then we went back down the other side of the hill and we're walking through a playground. And he says, Gran, I never liked it here when we walk here. It feels creepy. Feels really creepy. And then I learned that area was an area that had houses and they burnt down and people died before they built a school. So my grandson was feeling something there. And I didn't want to tell him after that, hey, you know what, those people died. I was scared the heck out of him. So
and of course they built a school on top of that.
Yes, well, we here and I live like in the city, and you go one block and you're in the woods with the moose, and then you go the other block and you're down in the mill yard where the mills are. So this area here is where the people lived that worked in the mills. So and a lot of times, with fireplaces and faulty electricity or gas lamps and stuff, if one house caught fire, the others would too, because they didn't have fire trucks. They had, the horse-pulled wagons with the water pumps. So, these houses are old. They're a good 200 years old, all around this area here. And so I don't think they up and built the school right away. I think it's, they cleared the land, whatever. What are we going to do with it now? And
but do they clear the land?
Yeah, I'm glad they put the school. The playground is fun. My little grandson loves it, except for when he walks behind there where the road used to be and where they were. The school's not built on there. That's way to the side, but he's always, so I think he has a gift there. And if he has questions, of course, I'm here to answer them. His mother's afraid, so she's not answering anything. And I try to do it in a nice, palatable manner for a child, explaining the science of it, like with dowsing rods, which is a science, and how you can get water, minerals, gold, and like this. So it's a friendly type thing. And I just say how we all have energy and energy remains. and you're
Right.
just feeling the energy that remains. Very easy. I said, could be wood, could be a rock, could be a dog that died, could be something, but it's just energy that remains. So instead of scaring him like it's on TV, then he gets a real educated perspective on what's going on with energy and why he's feeling like that.
So I want to ask, how did you go from all the paranormal work into the entertainment business? You said you've been doing entertainment for some time now. What was
Yes.
your first real door opening experience
With the paranormal,
with
I
the
have-
entertainment?
with the entertainment, oh my goodness gracious, I was like, I was so young. I could have been like, well, I was in kindergarten. So I had to have been like, what, like 4 or 5?
Wow.
And my mother took me to a store called Ann and Hope. And Ann and Hope was a big chain. This one happened to be in a big old mill. And I remember you put the carriages in the elevator and then you'd get in another elevator to go up to another floor. It was really weird. But they had Leonard Nimoy there.
Nice.
He was appearing at Ann and Hope and he signed my hand. I could not have been more thrilled like that. And that place was like, you'd get hot areas and then you'd get really, really cold areas. And I often told my mom, I feel like somebody died over in that corner. I'm not going over by the corner. I'm not, blah, blah, blah. And then she told me that my Uncle Joe had a heart attack and died there. So it's like, wow, I guess I knew that by feeling that. And another incident when I was a little bit older, I was in a car with my parents and we were going by, went down a couple of odd roads and then there was a cemetery and I said, we have family there. And then like, now we don't have any family. And so I said, let's go. So we went and I directed them and lo and behold, there was my father's name, his last name there. And then he went to talk to his aunt because his mother had already passed away. And yeah, they were buried there. And
Wow.
it was something that I knew. And my mother kept saying, keep it all to yourself. And I'm scared. But my grandmother is the one who let it flourish and helped me develop it and things like that.
Wow. Well,
So it's been a
thank
long
goodness
time.
for grandmas. Thank goodness. Having someone in our family that has the gift really does help support us. So we're like, oh, we're not crazy. What we're doing is real. Somebody else can, understand what we're doing. That's nice to have.
Well, yeah, and we never ever doubted my grandmother. There wasn't anything to doubt. Whatever she said, it was, and it wasn't just because she's your grandmother is going to put soap in your mouth because you said something bad. So she would say something that this dream meant that, or this color meant that. And my aunt went and got a book once, my cha-cha, it was just aunt, my cha-cha Salcha is Auntie Sally. And so she got a book about dream interpretation, what colors meant, this meant that went, and my grandmother threw it out. And she said, you wasted your money because every dream is different to every person. Listen to what they say, how they say it, how they pronounce it. Then you can get a feel of what that represents for that person, and always try to be helpful with your interpretation. So, and of course, all of this is in broken English because my grandmother was spoke fluent Polish all the time. We very broken English. So,
wow. So changing gears a little bit, tell us a little bit about this superhero character.
oh my goodness gracious. I trademarked Queen Paranormal and started doing larger events. I mean, Paracons are great. Paracons are great for have people get together and they can share their stories and get to know people from around the world. But I wanted more visibility. And if you sing to the choir long enough, you're not getting out of the church. And that's what I equated paranormal conventions as, singing in the church. So I moved out of there and I did large Comic-Cons like Rhode Island Comic-Con, San Diego, and just the big ones. And you know what, this is awful. I forgot what you asked me. So here I am doing the Queen of the Paranormal on a larger scale. And that's how I was able to. So we're going into what, the TV shows or the movies?
Oh, the comic books. So I see that you have that
How did I
comic book.
forget? So anyways, I'm doing all this stuff. And I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and I was at Old Comic-Con, and it was fantastic. And I talked to a gentleman, Charles Moyset from Silver Phoenix Comics, and he said, how would you like to be in a comic book? And I'm like, well, who wouldn't want that, you know? Oh, yeah, let's do it. But I want to do what I'm doing. I want me, what I do as a personal alive. I don't want a fictitious thing. I want my name. I want my trademark. I want what I'm doing. And he agreed. We did it. And at that point, what had happened was Brian Morris, he wrote the book. And he started researching and he said, you know what? You are the first person in comic book history to do what you do in real life as a superhero between the pages of a comic book. And I'm thinking, wow, so, you know, we put this big thing out. And that was in 2000 and beginning of 2016. And then later in 2016, in November, I went to Rhode Island Comic-Con and I was talking to Stan Lee, who congratulated me on it.
Oh.
You know, they're all made up fictitious people, but you are real, you are doing these things. And it's not just, you know, in the superhero costume. It's like kicking a door down to get a dog out of a burning apartment building. These things are documented, and it's not like I'm making up the story. They're factual, and they can be brought back right to documentation. So that's what I'm doing. And of course, the healing's in it as well. And so with that, you know, I'm trying to get publicity. It's so hard being a woman in freaking any industry, you know. And I engaged with Marvel Comics and DC Comics, and they couldn't dispute it. They couldn't dispute it. So it is what it is. And now that I'm back from a very large campaign, Chiller Theater event, I'm going to start with more press releases, more things, and keep that going. That's a legacy for my grandson. And I'm not going to be, you know, shoved under the rug because, you know, it's $1 billion industry. And I want a piece of that. And I am who I am. I'm 100% real, and I do these things. So that's going to be brought to light a lot more, in whether it's a movie or TV shows and things.
I know it's been difficult in the past for women to be involved in the superhero comics, but I think in the last 10 years, Marvel and DC have done a really terrific job changing that, getting a lot of female characters, female leads coming in, kind of showing women can kick butt just as much as anybody else can.
And I love that, but the thing is, they're all made up characters. They're not real. They're fictitious. They're fiction. And I love the storylines and I love all of that, but you're not real. I am. And that's the bottom line. So we're going forward with that. We have a lot of support behind us. And I think it's time that a woman stands forward. And I'm not really afraid of much, you know, hey, I talk to the dead, you know, so I'm not afraid of much. Plus I was a cop. So yeah, I think I'm the type of person to be able to tackle this, and I'm going to do it. And so there's much more about this to come out.
Nice. Well, I think you've had a pretty huge accomplishment as well, because you're now host of an entertainment show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I am host of Hollywood Entertainment News, and that came about because during the pandemic, a lot of the Comic Cons and pop culture cons, they literally closed up. They couldn't work. How can you see a celebrity with a mask on? You can't see them. It's dangerous for one thing. So they closed their doors. So I was working with a very large PR firm. A lot of people don't know I actually own a PR firm, but I was working with another one in conjunction with them. And we decided to come up with an idea that we could do online that was totally different. So we decided that we would do Hollywood Entertainment News, and we would cover things in a positive light. That's it. Positive messages, positive light. We do have the magazine, but the television show focuses on the positive. Now, with that, I'm also the first person to have the paranormal shows in airport television, international airport TV. And along with that, we do a little thing called Supernatural News Bullets, which is really cool. My grandson won't watch it. It's super scary. And we do Atlanta happenings because one of my marketing people, they live in Atlanta, so I host that program. And that's in liquor stores, gas stations, all out in that Atlanta area. And it's so easy because I have a green screen capability here in my studio, and I'm able to do that and put that information out there. So we also are putting different clips together. I work with the Veterans Green Coffee and Veterans Green Coffee initiatives. And this is where disabled veterans, they're given money, supplies from Veterans Green Coffee. And the initiatives part is the disabled veterans fix things, refurbish them, and sell them. For example, my son, George, he wanted a laptop and he's gonna go to, I don't want to say the name of the store, to get one for $200. And I said, don't do that. I do bumper commercials. They're just 15 to 30-second spots for Veterans Green Coffee. I said, we're going to call the initiative program and we're going to see the laptops are around 99 bucks. That's what they are. So we called up and I talked to them, and my son got a literal brand new computer worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars for 99 bucks. And he just couldn't believe it when it came in the mail. And I said, this is giving back to our veterans.
Right.
You have to, we support them always. And the great thing about the initiative programs and the different coffee bumpers and things I do, I donate that. I donate that service to them so they don't have to hire a production company. They don't have to hire an actor or actress or edit it down. I do that all myself. Yeah. So I just thrilled I'm involved with those projects and many more. We have Nashville's Next Best of Three. And that's a nice streaming talent show, which is really cool. And I've done their bumper commercials for them as well. And now I'm doing commercials for a movie I'm in called The Lost Ship. It's about Hitler and his effect on India. And I'm going to be speaking in German, Verlingensglobe. And my name is Marina. So we should get our filming schedule soon. And so I'll be able to talk more about that later.
And I noticed that you work with the veterans, and I also saw you also work with food pantries and animal shelters as well.
Yes, I do. I have been an animal rescuer. I don't know. I don't know, even before high school. Just always help the animals. And when I do travel and I sell products, whether it's on the internet or I go to events or appearances, I have a percentage of that money go to whether it's an animal shelter or a private place. They don't always have to be a 501c3. They don't have to be that way. Some people just need funds to be able to neuter their dog or cat, and they don't fall within the income bracket to get a reduced cost, fee. So let's say someone's dog got hit by a car and they want like our money. It's like, put
Yeah.
them down or what? I mean, I try to go around my neighborhood if there's a real big problem. And, $5 or so here or there, anything helps. And then I will work with a veterinarian to see if they could possibly lower the price. Everybody's been very good, very, very good like that. And that's what I do. I even go to different communities, depending where I'm traveling to bring supplies off of their wish list. And I don't go in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, no, I just drop the stuff off. And that's what you do, And
Well,
so
that's what you do, and you're pretty amazing.
yeah, I got my grandson doing that too. I said, every penny you see on the ground, or nickel, quarter, we got a jar, and then we're gonna go and buy supplies, whether it's a couple cans of dog food or whatever, and we're gonna bring it over to the animal shelter. And we'll pick different ones in the area, and he goes in and he gives it. So we're instilling that, my daughter and I, instilling that in him at a young age.
That's an amazing, wonderful trait to have. Wonderful upbringing. We've learned so much about you, and I know that you have so many new projects, which of course you can't talk about just yet because they're still in production. They still have that non-disclosure agreement going on, but people want to reach out to you. They want to find out more information about you. How can they find you?
Well, you can go to two websites. One is queenoftheparanormal.com. And from there, you can read all the articles and you can go to all the social media sites. And the other one is hollywoodentertainmentnews.com. And again, from there, you can, click on the things and get to the stories. And we're doing a whole new format. So it's kind of funky over on the television show aspect because we're pulling that stuff down and we're going to put new players up and it's going to be a little different. And I'm also working with 360 TVN out of California television studios. They have their own channel on Comcast, the Roku, and a lot of other places. And they also work with the Veterans Green Coffee initiatives, and I'll be working with them. And what we're going to do is be able to do the Cannes Film Festival and also the Berlin one in Germany. We're going to be able to be hosting those.
Wow, I think you got so many things that you're doing. I think
Yeah,
so many people are
I
gonna
love
follow
being
it.
busy. I love it. I almost died in the hospital over the holidays, and I was busy before, but I was busy and a bitch, So now I don't. When you go through something, I had E. coli, I had, they gave me medicine and it made 2 kidney stones that I had for over 15 years move. They moved in an area that they couldn't come out. So it's 2 operations. They went both 2 different ways. And I was in there and I was septus for about a week in the ICU. And I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, and I got some. So I just, you come out with a whole different perspective that life is precious, and I'm not going to, if I see an opportunity, I can help someone with it, or I can just go forward with things. And just a whole new perspective on life when you get that ill. Not that I'm wishing everybody gets that ill, but the effect afterwards was something you couldn't pay for. It really changed me inside too.
It's a great wake-up call for many people. We don't want to wish it upon anybody, but we do want to wish up the awakening, the awareness that life is precious and a gift to all of us, for sure. I want to thank you so much. It was a gift having you here on the show with me today. So thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you for asking me. I was really looking forward to this, So I got excited. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, what do I wear? Oh gosh, I gotta wash my hair. Are they gonna see my fingernails?
And it's amazing. We're both in New Hampshire, so hopefully we'll bump into
Oh
I'm
my
in New Hampshire.
It's called Coffee Time, girl.
I know, I'm there.
Definitely coffee time. We will have so much fun together. I've got these pocket little pendulums. Oh, we're gonna have some
I'll bring
fun.
my dowsing rods.
Oh, I'll bring mine too.
Yes. And for those of you who want to join us in New Hampshire, come along. It'll be fun.
Wow. Oh my God, I didn't realize you were so close to me. New Hampshire's
Yeah.
it's a big state, but not all that big, you know.
No, it's not. And we need us in New Hampshire, we need to stick together. So
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you to all of you for watching us again today. An amazing episode. And I hopefully will see you all next time. Thanks.